Josh Hart, front row, left side. Jeff?
Jeff Zilgate, NBA.com. Josh, statistics are such a big part of basketball. At what point in your playing career did you sort of come to terms with that maybe your game isn't going to be judged on stats alone, and how did you accept that and learn to judge your game that way?
I don't know, probably college. Coach Wright did a really good job of emphasizing, that competitive will, making the plays that go beyond the box score. And I think you see it with, a lot of the Villanova guys in the league. A lot of them, make those kind of plays, and they don't show up in his box score. So I think it really started, at Nova, and then, when you do something for 4 years, it kind of just sticks with you. Come on, Steve.
Steve Popper, front row, right side.
You can speak up.
Hey, Josh. You guys have, in the closeout games, have dominated each time. What goes into that? And I think they've had the first quarters each game in this series. Kind of, what do you need to change there?
Yeah, we know they come out with a lot of energy. They've been doing that all playoffs. So, and we've been very up and down with that, a lot this year. So we got to make sure we come in focused, with a great attention to detail, and taking things a possession at a time. And, if we do that and we play our style of basketball, we're going to put ourselves in a good position to be successful. But we can't keep, getting into a hole and trying to dig ourselves out of a hole. So, we were fortunate to do that last game. Well, actually, all three games, all three of our wins. But we got to do a better job of, starting games off.
Second row, right side.
Zach Braziller, New York Post. Josh, could we go back to when the Knicks traded for you?
Yeah.
You had been with a few different teams, and I don't think you had played in the playoffs before.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, could you have imagined it working out the way it has, and what has it been like to kind of establish yourself and be in the same place and kind of have an actual home?
Yeah. I've been in the league for 9 years. I've always talked about, I had a lot of instability, in those, before I got here, those 6.5 years or whatever it was. I had 6 head coaches, 3 different teams at that time. So I was just kind of looking for a home and stability, and I found that in New York, obviously, first with Tibbs, obviously now with Mike. But I think the city really embraced me, my style of play, me as a person. And when you do that, you feel like you're able to go out there and play your best. The city is built on, toughness, grit, blue-collar people, and I feel like I'm the same person. They can look in the mirror and they can see, myself, just because that's how I look at myself. I just happen to hoop. So, the stability and home in New York, has been amazing, and hopefully we can keep it going.
First row, middle, Con.
Hey, Josh, Con from Charlotte. One of the big things that I've seen in this series watching is offensive rebounding, especially from the guards and wings from both teams. Obviously, with our preparation in the season, that's a big emphasis when we play you guys. You play a big role in that. Can you kind of just speak to what you guys preach, what Coach Brown preaches about the offensive glass?
Yeah, you played basketball for a long time, and you know that sometimes you can get the cleanest looks, for your best shooters off offensive rebounds. So if you're able to punish teams on the offensive glass, get extra possessions, change momentum, that's something that's huge. And I think for us, besides really JB, and Jose and Deuce, a lot of us are kind of taller, athletic wings, strong wings, OG, Kel, myself. Obviously Mitch is an amazing offensive rebound. So when you're able to do that and get extra possessions, it increases your chance, to win. It also helps, negate teams like y'all that play extremely fast and kill teams in transition. So there's a way to combat that, but also a way to get clean looks.
Front row, middle.
Hi, Josh. Valeria Rubino, Italy and Senegal for Seneweb. I never seen a locker room with this level of togetherness, friendship, camaraderie as the Knicks locker room. You are comfortable playing together, but seem also to have fun doing it. How crucial of a factor has it been for this incredible playoff run?
It's been invaluable. I think you can look at the play where I missed the layup last game. I missed a layup. We come down, we foul Wemby, and I'm not sure. I think I fouled him or Cat fouled him, whatever. And I ended up on the ground, and I was frustrated. I was kind of down on myself. And you see JB, Cat, Jose run up to me, pick me up. You see Landry on the bench, yelling at me to get up, doing those kind of things. So when you have a team that has that kind of togetherness in the most adverse situations, that breeds championship habits and a championship team. And I feel like we can go down the line of every guy in that locker room that has had moments like that during the season, and everyone's been there to pick each other up. And when you have a team that can do that, man, it's no matter what happens in a game, you feel like you can get through it.
Third row, black shirt.
Josh Melvin Carson, CBasketUSA.com. When your opponent goes on a big run like they did in the first half, what makes it so hard for you as a team to get back to executing the game plan when your head is underwater like that?
Honestly, I think it gets a little easier to focus on the game plan because most of the time when you dig yourself into that hole, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not doing what the game plan is, and you don't have that attention to detail. So it allows you to stop and reset for a second and double down on doing having that focus and having that attention to detail, because for us having that focus and attention to details got us to this point, and you can't lose it. Sometimes you lose it for spurts or a quarter or something like that, but good teams are able to kind of get back and steady themselves, steady the ship, and get back to doing what they do.
Thank you, Josh.
Appreciate it.
Leandro Carranza from NBA Latin America. Which attribute, in your opinion, allows you as a group to stay in the game, bounce back, and never give up?
Our mentality, our belief in our confidence within each other, I think helps us in that aspect. So it really starts with our mental approach.
Christian right here, second row.
Jalen, Christian Winfield, New York Daily News. I mean, you've said I don't know how many times that you guys have the best fans in the world. There's reports that, once again, they're buying tickets to be here for tomorrow's game. I'm just curious, when you're out there and you're going into what's supposed to be hostile territory, what does it feel like when you're on the road and you hear a team, you hear a crowd cheering instead of what most fans would be booing in those situations?
Yeah, I appreciate it more than I think I'll ever be able to say. And just very grateful and thankful. It's a really cool experience. And like I said, it's something that you can't really talk about, and you just have to experience it.
Over here on the right side, Con.
Hey, Jalen. Con from Charlotte. Obviously, you've won at all levels, high school. Obviously, you've had a bunch of success at Villanova in college, and now here you are, one game away from winning an NBA championship. What are some of the key attributes of a winning basketball player? What are some of those characteristics that you think really play into what it takes to win at the highest level?
I think the one thing that stays constant within all of that is just I've always told myself, and always been taught by my parents, to never be afraid to fail. You put yourself in those positions when you're in the summertime, where you're envisioning what's going on the court, when you're by yourself in the court, when you're putting yourself in those positions to get better in the summertime. And when those opportunities come about, you're not afraid of the moment because you worked hard enough to where if you do fail, you're going to learn anyway. You put the confidence you have in everything you do when the lights are on because of everything you've done when no one's watching. And so that's the mindset that my parents instilled in me, and I think I've every step of the way from high school to college, every coach that I've had has helped made it better. And but it really starts with them, and I'm really appreciative of them.
Jared, second row in the center.
Jared Schwartz, New York Post. Jalen, I'm sure you've thought of this moment for a long time, but does it feel different? Does it feel like you guys are one step away from a championship, or even different than the other games in the finals?
0-0.
James, right here, front.
Excuse me. Jalen, just out of curiosity, how have you been able to find normalcy during these finals? Like, between all of this, I know you guys have had to do stuff every day and the games. Have you been able to just kind of find, like, some normalcy in your life these last week and a half, 2 weeks?
Yeah. I think I've also been able to understand what a unique opportunity this is. So really, it's not really that normal. But when you're doing the things that help you prepare for games, prepare for moments, and you put yourself in the routines that you've done your whole career or your whole life, when it comes game time, you're ready to go because you put your mind in a position to be ready. Also, I have a very unique circle that keeps me humble, and wouldn't change that for anything.
Steve?
Sort of related to that, when you have the Wednesday night, and I guess even yesterday morning, you guys were still in New York, and it feels like a celebration. You guys have been so good in closeout games. What was it like to put that aside and start preparing for the next thing?
Yeah, it was. I think whenever you win or lose a game, that night you're going to think about it. Think about the things that you've done well or what you did wrong, and I've always told myself that when you wake up the next day, it's time to turn the page. And so, yes, we won, but we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot to learn. We did not play our best basketball, so we still have a lot to revisit to make sure that we don't really put ourselves in that position again. And but honestly, we still have to continue to have the belief that we've had, and it's really important from that aspect.
Tim, right here.
Jalen, Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press. Coming into the series, there was so much attention on the winning streak, and not just the streak, but the margins by which you guys were winning games by 30, 40, 51 points. These have not been that way. What is it about this group that when things are rolling, obviously it looks easy, but you guys have had to dig, obviously, in these 4 games, particularly down the stretch. What is it about this group that you can find that gear when you have to?
Yeah, when we practice and we have film and we talk about situations, what we have to do, you're always preparing, worst possible case scenario. If this happens, we got to be prepared for this. If this happens, we have to be prepared for this. And so when our mindset and our focus is on one possession at a time, one play at a time, one quarter at a time, you're not really thinking too far ahead. You're thinking about the now and how you can be better the next possession, and how quickly can you turn the page, positive or negative. And so regardless of what's going on, our mindset and approach has to stay the same. And I think we've done a very good job of that. And it's something that has grown over the season, but it's really important, especially obviously now.
Left side, Dan
Devine, Yahoo Sports. Jalen, at practice the other day, you were talking about the kind of development of your relationship with Carl, and one of the things you said was that it felt like there was sort of an unfair narrative about him when he came in. I'm just curious, I guess, what was that narrative as you perceived it, and then how has he kind of dispelled that in your time with him?
Yeah, the narrative was placed on him by the outside world, and you never really know a person until obviously you meet him face to face and you see what he says and what his actions are. And being the teammate that he is, and seeing his sacrifices and seeing what he's done puts him in the position to become a Hall of Famer. And honestly, I wouldn't trade that for the world. And the things that he's done has been extraordinary. And not really sure how he's going to respond to me saying all these nice things about him. But he's one hell of a basketball player, but he's honestly a better teammate.
Thank you, Jalen.
Hey, Mikal. Steve Popper, Newsday. When you guys have a night like the other night where it feels like a crazy celebration, you guys have been so good in closeout games. How do you put that 24 hours behind you and realize the job's not done?
Yeah. I think it's pretty easy for us. I think that's probably the most I could say. I think it's pretty easy for us. Maybe the fans and media stuff, maybe a little bit more, can't control it right now. But as a players, we know our job's not finished. So, yeah, we're ready.
Fifth row on your right.
Hi, Mikal. Sami Sadik for L'Equipe France. You're with a one win away from a title with Jalen and Josh, same as in Villanova where you won national championships. Do you see any similarities between the run, the chemistry it takes to win the Natty and then to win the NBA Finals? And is it surreal to be able to win it with those guys like at the highest level?
Yeah, I think being in college and Coach Wright did a great job of teaching us how to win and what it takes. And I think that's what we could take from it, is that just knowing how hard it is to get here and how hard it is to win. I think that's helped us. And for us being teammates, obviously it's really cool being in this moment. But we still got a job to do, and we're not there yet.
On your left, on the aisle.
Hey, Mikal. Helen from Tencent, and everybody's talking about a 0-0 mentality right now, but 0-0 implies a start. So with you background winning 2 NCAA championships to close out game tomorrow night, do you lean more into that 0-0 mentality, or do you treat this like an NCAA winner go home game to find that killer instinct?
I think it's both. 0-0, knowing you don't get complacent. If you feel like you up in the series, you don't want to get that complacency. And also, you could go to NCAA where it's just win or lose or something, and that's how you got to feel. You got to go out there. But I feel like that's every single night, but especially this night. But I think it's still 0-0 to us no matter what.
Over here, Ian.
Bagley, SNY. Mikal, at one point over the last couple of years, you were talking about adjustments, getting here and getting acclimated to everything, and you mentioned like even with Jalen, you were used to him at Villanova playing a certain way, so adjusting to that was part of it as well. Can you expand a little bit about like what that process was like and like the difference between Villanova Jalen and New York Jalen?
Just being in college every single day for what me and Jalen was together for 3 years, and our system and all that stuff. Obviously, it's different than different systems and different teams in the league. But yeah, I think just coming to New York, he's just his game has grown. It's just a little bit different. I think it's a little bit different. I think his scoring went up, so just kind of got to feel that a little bit off ball. But it's been great though. I think his progression, as a scorer and as a playmaker has just been been great for us. Not me, but just everybody. It's been great to see, and it keeps the defense honest. And I don't know what to say. I think he just always tries to make the right read every single time, and I got a lot of confidence in him. And the thing I know about Jalen, which I always felt like in college as well, sometimes he might feel like, because how talented he is, that his right read might be him taking a shot when it's contested. And I came over the years knowing him and being around him, where I think it's a pretty good decision for him as well and for the team, because he's that talented. So I think he's grown as a player, and I'm just happy to be here.
Christian.
Mikal, Christian Winfield, New York Daily News. how long did it take for you to get adjusted to getting cheers on the road? I don't know if this is something that you were I guess experienced were in your previous stops, and just what's it like to be in a game in what's supposed to be hostile territory and having a fan base back and you on the road like the Knicks fans have been so supportive.
Yeah, it's real cool, man. It's, to be around for that. It just shows how much the fan base travels and care about the team and cares about winning. So I feel like I'm forever grateful, to have them on our side. Because like you said, I don't think that's anywhere. I don't think that's any team in the league does that. And there's a lot of great franchises, great fan bases as well. But just very grateful, to be in this position, in this organization with these fans.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.